Welcome back to Manufacturing Matters Jackson, the first and only podcast and television show dedicated to supporting and celebrating the manufacturing industry of Jackson County, Michigan. My name is Keith Gillenwater, and I am the President and CEO of Accelerate Jackson County.
And I'm Olivia Steele, Executive Director of JAMA.
Well, Olivia, we are now on episode number 3, and I can't tell you the type of the feedback that we're getting from the community at large, and frankly from some people that I didn't know necessarily were paying attention to what we're doing. I mean, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, last week with Jeff and Mandy, or last month with Jeff and Mandy, I received several emails and comments about how that was a wonderful show. So, that was, it's exciting. I'm glad that the word is getting out, and I'm glad that we can highlight manufacturing in Jackson.
I mean, absolutely. And I'm hearing the same kind of stuff. I think this is only going to get better, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's only going to get bigger as we continue to do this. And so I'm excited for it. So
I actually heard that somebody from out of state has heard about our show and said that it's awesome, and how can they do it in their state? So.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's funny because I heard that from one of my board members, that they had heard from one of their clients who had saw it on our website or Facebook or something, and said, wow, that's really cool that you're doing something like that. So it's neat. So Olivia, what's going on in the world of JAMA?
Well, today I'm headed up to Lansing for Rosie Day to celebrate women in manufacturing and obviously our veterans from the war. And then in May is JAMA's annual dinner, so prepping and preparing for that. And then in April is the open house of the AMTC building. So April 16th from 2 to 4, we'll have the open house of the AMTC.
That's awesome. Well, that's something we've talked about a lot on this show and podcast over the last year. So it's exciting to see that come into fruition. So yes. I'm very excited for this community, for what you're doing, but for your organization. I know how much work you've put into that. So
yes, it's been a lot of work, and just excited to finally see it coming to fruition and coming together and getting organized, and
awesome.
Having over 1,000 students since we moved in go through training in that facility is very exciting for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, well.
And what's going on at Accelerate Jackson?
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on right now too. By the time this show comes out, we will have made a couple of announcements on some projects that we've been working on. And so first and foremost, we've got our Build in Jackson that is a program around talent attraction, and it is a joint venture between the City of Jackson, Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, Accelerate Jackson County, the Jackson Community Foundation, Michigan Works Southeast, and Experience Jackson County. So a lot of partners, right? Mm-hmm. But this is partnering really with the city on the 100 Homes program, and the city has agreed to up the down payment assistance. And so based upon qualifying AMI, which is actually a pretty high income level, you could qualify for between $40,000 and $60,000 of down payment assistance on one of the 100 homes. So having a brand new home built in Jackson County, that a person could potentially go in with $60,000 of equity on a $175,000 home.
That's amazing.
That's amazing, right? And we're partnering with other talent attraction things, and so $1,000 voucher for a bike or a kayak, a membership at the YMCA, Jackson Symphony Orchestra tickets, just a lot of things that say we want you to be in this community and we want you to be involved. We're also rolling out our Built in Jackson video series that we have been working on over the last year and a half, or maybe 2 years, with Shop Rat Foundation and Uncharted Film, local developer here in town, where we're highlighting some companies, including a couple of our past guests. We had Shane Grand on from Machining Momentum. That we have that in process. We've also got a few that are done, including with Brian Cooper, who was our very first guest on this television show. So we're really excited about that, and you'll be able to find those on our Accelerate jacksoncounty.org website to see all those videos. And so got a lot going right now.
Yeah, it is a lot. I think both of our organizations have a lot going on, and hopefully people are able to help and join and support all the fun things that are happening here in Jackson County.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us about our guests?
Yeah, so today we are going to have Ron Geisman and Becky Dorian from Lomar Machine and Tool join us on Manufacturing Matters Jackson. And today we have Ron Geisman and Becky Dorian from Lomar Machine and Tool. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming.
So tell us a little bit about Lomar.
Okay, it's a family-owned company. My father started it in 1976. So that makes this our 50th year, and coming up as the fall of this year. So, plan on a celebration of the 50th there. But and that's we're a machine tool builder, custom machine manufacturer, and out there in Horton, and been in Horton since '78. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
so
That's a big deal, getting to 50 years, right? So
quite a big deal. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. And so we originally started out in North Adams. We were down in North Adams in the original building for 2 years, and then moved to the main street in Horton, and continued to expand as business grew since '78 there in Horton. So.
Yeah, because you have a lot of different locations here in Jackson too, right?
Yeah, we sure do. And it was mainly just due to growth and get landlocked. As we continued on through the early days, we added on to the Main Street building, and then a body shop was available up on Moscow Road. So we purchased the body shop, expanded it to the point that it was landlocked, and then there was a sewing shop behind it that we purchased, and I think we put like 7 additions onto that, and pretty well filled it up. So,
Yeah.
and
you have facilities in Spring Arbor too,
Correct.
right? How many facilities do you have altogether in Jackson County?
we have 6,
Okay.
4 right in Horton, and then 1 in Hanover, and then 1 in Spring Arbor. And there again, it was just growth. We do a lot for Eaton out there, and some of their businesses that they were looking to move, we were able to accept those and produce the products for them. They had a hydraulic power units that they were producing down in Memphis, Tennessee, and they ended up bringing those up to. Well, we brought them to Main Street, which didn't have enough room to carry the inventory and the manufacturing. So we ended up buying the Hanover facility. We were keeping the inventory there, building in Horton, and then the building on King Road became available. So that way we could marry the inventory and the production back together again. So.
So you talked about serving Eaton, right?
Yeah.
So I'm serving into the aerospace industry, but what other industries do you serve that your machinery is going to?
Our primary one is automotive,
Okay.
and but we do a lot in the automotive, agriculture, medical, but pretty well focus on most all the different markets out there.
We're always super proud to say that if you look under the hood of your car, you see a motorcycle going down the road. Lomar probably had something to do with getting that vehicle on the road, have the fuel lines and the air conditioning lines running through it. Our medical, we have made tubes that form the hospital beds, and we've gotten into adaptive mobility, which is always
Yeah.
cool to be a part of.
That makes you proud, though, right? Like when you
does,
see
yeah.
that kind of thing, and I mean that's the thing I always love when you hear from manufacturers is like, where can we see your stuff? I think we had that on our last episode
Yeah.
with Jeff, and I think so. That's awesome. Sorry.
Yeah. No. What are some of the products that you do? So we know that you're serving automotive, and you've talked a little bit, but are there any other specific products that you're producing?
Well, we produce a lot of the equipment that others will produce their products on, basically. Design and build various machines we've kind of based everything around fluid conveyance, seems to be our main focus out there, and which in turn we'll do a lot of crimping, adding hoses on the different automotive lines, whether it's air conditioning, fuel, brake, transmission, oil cooler lines and such. So we'll either crimp the hose on the end of the steel tubing or aluminum tubing, or we'll inform the tubing, we'll test the tubing, we'll make assembly equipment based around the products that they need to produce. And so, well, it seems to be a focus on the tubing and fluid conveyance. Dad started out at Aeroquip, and so that naturally, and that's kind of our reason for being in Hanover, Jackson area is from him. He was Aeroquip had their main headquarters here in Jackson. They also had a plant in Van Wert, Ohio. That's where we're all from, and so he was spending a lot of time up here. If he was ever going to buy special machines or anything of that, it was purchased in the Jackson area because that's where their headquarters were. That brought him up here. He ended up becoming friends with some local manufacturers, and then joined into, it was a Hanover machine and Schrader machine back in those days, and they were out in the Hanover area. So joined in with those, was there for like 3 years, and then broke out on his own. Him and Dick Molt started Lomar, and that's where the name came from. It was Dick's wife was Lola, my mom was Mary, and they put the two names together for Lomar and created that. So
That's an awesome story. I love that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So why? I mean, you kind of talked about how you ended up in Horton, right, and in Jackson County. But what do you love about being a manufacturer in Jackson County?
Well, there's just so many services that are available. I mean, whether it's the steel you need, the coatings you need, other area, if you ever need any type of like a help in producing something, there's a ton of people, talent around Jackson, and whether we're doing it for them or they're doing it for us, there's a lot of handshake, and there's a lot of gain in this area. I mean, we've made, you've built a lot of good friendships over the years here in Jackson, but they were able to produce everything here over the years. I mean, they used to make cars here, and in the early days of Aeroquip, I mean, they could pretty well do everything they needed to do in the aerospace market, and they just continued to expand on that. So
I'm guessing you also serve a lot of those same customers that, from when you were Aeroquip and you're now serving Eaton. So some of these customers you've worked with probably for maybe 50 years, right?
Yeah, it is. A lot of them. And so, and most of our market is, it went from Aeroquip to Eaton, and now it's under the Danfoss name. So, and we still do work for Eaton, the aerospace end of it, but a lot of our core business, which is the industrial crimp equipment, which is that, the marketing that we do out there and we produce the small crimp machines that are distributed throughout the world by now Danfoss, and that, so, And so if you'd walk into like a automotive supply house, like a Napa or, a various place around the town here, they would have a machine to make a fitting for a farmer or a truck driver or somebody that needs to replace a hose and fitting on their machine. It would be crimped on a Lomar built piece of equipment. So
It's awesome.
Well, I think we are going to have a video that we went out and recorded on site. And so I think we can kick to our video. And then when we come back from the video, we will probably have a few more questions. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. That photo there, it's a nice overview of some of the different machines that we produce and the areas that they're used on. Gear shift levers, air conditioning lines, air intake lines, coolant lines, or transmission, suspension components, the different tubes and seat components. We inform, bend, test, and then assemble. And this is our newest plant, our sixth building, and this was built in 2017. This machine is a production informing for producing an inform on the end of an aluminum tube. Again, automotive air conditioning is what the final product's going to be used on. What we're doing is we're sending it through this machine one time, producing an inform on it, reintroducing those tubes back into it. We're using a vision system on the end of a robot. Come down, pick the parts up, set them up onto the conveyor to send them back in to do the ops and then produce the inform on it.
So the process before you got this machine was that you would use multiple machines?
Yeah, it's probably maybe a tenth of the time for actual cycle time. We see a great advantage in cycle time. We're getting around a 4-second cycle time on this machine, and we're doing it all within one machine, which will give you a much better quality part. This is the hose testing machine here. Most all the lines have a small section of hose. This is a restrike fixture. It's a custom machine that we're building to be a one-off style machine. Now this machine formed a bent part that in order to make a real tight tolerance on the end. So what we're doing is after the bend, they're cutting it off, chamfering it to make sure that the ends are meet the tolerances that the customer's after on this. Here is fall area. Material comes in from the various sources. This section here is our OD/ID grinding, surface grinding on down. That's the newest one right there. Same style machine, just different size capabilities. So, and then we have EDM. We have 4 wire EDMs, a hole popper, and then 2 plunge EDMs. And then this Makino is our newest. This section back here is a rack and pinion, the hob to produce the pinions, and then the horizontal mill is what we use to produce the racks. This section here is our powder paint. We clean the components, add the powder to them, and then take them into the oven, and that creates the hardened finish by baking it into the surface. So these are components that we produce at one of our locations, and they are machine bases. This is what the basic cart, and then the panels that you've seen over there will be bolted on the outside of it. There's a wild color. This is a machining operation, some components for different machines that we're making. And the way we are set up here, there's
master PM programming done in the center section, and then from there the programs can be sent out to the individual machines.
That was a really cool video of what you guys do at Lomar. We always talk about automation, Industry 4.0. And so can you talk about over the last 50 years how you have changed in building machines and the parts for those machines, and how automation and Industry 4.0 has played a role in that?
It has really took over the industry, as you say, and that as the automation is, the cost of automation has came down quite a bit, and that's really, and then when we ran into the troubles of finding labor shortages, and that enhanced that automation more and so, but the rotary informer that we had there is where we're producing an end on, or changing the shape of the end of the tube, I guess is what we're basically doing, so you can attach something to it. This was a informer that my father designed, and it was to try to get the cycle time down, and we can come up with a pretty fast cycle time on this, down around maybe 3 to 4 seconds on the cycle time. And now the advancements are into the automation, robot loading, trying to get the parts in and out of it fast. And that was one of the part of the video there, is we had the robot loading this rotary informer. So,
well, I think one of the things that came across when obviously when talking to the two of you, but then also watching that video, is that pride, right? That like, this is a family business that's been here for 50 years, and your dad started it. It's named after your mother, right? Like, that came across. Just, you could hear that in what you were talking about when you were walking our JTV folks through the facility. So, I mean, that's something that's inspiring, I think. So I've got a question I always like to ask people, and that is, what's the coolest project you've been part of? Like, what's the coolest thing you've made, or the end product that you know you had a part in?
Yeah. Well, one of the big items were that rotary informer. I mean, we produced our very first one in 2003, and the very first one was a struggle. It was a customer in Kentucky, and we spent a lot of nights and a lot of weeks producing that, making that first one work. And we were able to, like a couple months ago, we were able to get that very first one back, and they were done with it, and we were able to get it back. But to me, that was one of the big things. It changed my life. I spent a lot of time, automating that and advancing it on. But Becky, we've talked about a number of different things else beyond the informer that really touched me. But
right, more recently we've worked on a NASA moon rover, so we'll have Lomar's parts will be on the moon. We've also worked on a simulator, like a training simulator for the astronauts. So we're helping. We're taking aerospace to kind of a different level for Lomar, that's for sure. We're definitely getting involved with EV, electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. We've always really served the internal combustion, and so we're just finding so many opportunities to make cool things for this new segment. So we're making hydrogen tanks for this alternative energy vehicles. We are making battery boxes, the bus bars. There's just a lot of new ways we can use our skills and our capabilities.
Well, Olivia, I don't know a better way to end the television portion of this show than by your making things for the moon rover for NASA, right? And so I would say thank you for being our guest today. If you want to hear more of the conversation for Manufacturing Matters Jackson with Lomar, tune into our podcast and we will continue the conversation. So thank you.